Okay, guys, in this video, I will talk about what is networking. Okay, we say networking, right? In all our projects, I'll talk about what is networking, right? First of all, you guys need to learn what is a LAN network. LAN is nothing but a local area network. Local area network is a network established by the user. For example, in our office, we have got an internet from Act Internet, and we have created our own local area network to cater to the devices in our office, that is laptops, computers, and our mobile phones. That is a local area network. So all these local area networks will talk to one particular router, right? One particular router. So all the data goes to our local area network. From the local area network, it goes to our particular router. From our particular router, it goes to the internet, right? What is in a wide area network? This also you need to Google. Wide area network is established by a connection being given by Act, right? Act or Airtel. These guys create a wide area network, right? So out of that wide area network, they give allot one port to us to create our LAN network. So since we do a lot of networking in the houses only and not in commercial project, I'll explain what a house network looked like. See, before you used to get what internet on a dial-up connection, where we used to have just a modem, right? And the internet used to work on that dial-up connection. Nowadays we don't have dial-up what connection. We have an optical fiber cable, right? What happens, because this offers a high speed, I will not get into what is optical fiber cable and all. You have to do your own research and understand what is an optical cable is. Okay, so once you get an optical cable, right, there is something called opto coupler. What it does, it changes the data from optical signals to the copper signals. Why? Because every electronics works on a copper signal, right? So the computer has a RJ45 port which is on the copper. All your routers access points, they work on a copper port. I don't know, maybe in the future everything will start talking to optical cables. There are devices already available. Maybe because of the cost reason it is still on the copper, right? So what this thing does, Opto coupler receives a high speed internet on a coupler and puts it onto the copper, right? Here the speed in the gigabit speed, right? Maybe giga whatever. Let's call it gigabit. Okay, so once it comes, so copper can also what support few gigabits. Maybe like this can support like 100 gbps and all, right? So this can support up to few gigabits. Let's say 1 gigabit. Okay, 1 gigabit, up to 1 gigabit, right? So then it's come to a modem. What is a modem, right? So what is a modem? Look, so once it gets converted to copper, can I random guy come in and take this cable and connect to his laptop and like can he access it? No, he cannot access it because he needs a username and password. So that is being done by a modem, which will create a gateway for user to access the restricted data, right? So we insert, a company gives us a username and password that basically goes into the modem, right? So modems will convert the data in optical fiber or in encrypted format to decrypted format for us to accept. That is a modem which is which is given by the service provider to a particular user. Once it comes, then we have something called router. So what router does, router what it does, it takes the data from one guy, right, and gives it to 100 guys. Okay, it gives it to 100 guys. Now this is a job of the router to create an IP address to the devices which want to access the internet. See, as you know, if you send a letter without an address, where does it go, right? It doesn't go anywhere. So you need to give an address, right? So like that, all these data packets are going to some address, right? So let's say my mobile, so I want some data to come to my mobile, so I need to have some address. So that address is nothing but an IP address. Okay, IP address. So who will allot an IP address to me? So that is done by a router. So it see, there are two types. One is a static IP, one more is the dynamic IP. So you guys need to research on static IP and dynamic IP and learn. So usually our mobiles are kept on the dynamic IP DSCP settings so that we can receive a IP address or dynamically. What happens? See, look, I come to my office, right? My mobile will get connected to my office, right? I come to my home. My mobile automatically gets connected to my home network, right? So here what happens, this router allots an IP address to my mobile so that we can talk to the internet and get the information from the internet, right? So what we do, we take this output and give it to a network switch. Mind guys, till here it is a optical cable, from here it is a cat 6 cable all along, okay? So it is a cat 6 cable. So once it comes to a network, right? So we have a network. In network we'll have usually have a LAN switch. We call it a LAN switch or a network switch, which will have a 8, 12, 16, 24, 48 ports, okay? And the speed, how, what is the layer of switch and all varies. So once it comes, it has a different ports. See, right? One port I can connect to camera and view what is happening in the camera, or the Wi-Fi access point. So right, so one port goes to Wi-Fi access point. I can connect my mobile to this Wi-Fi access point. Thereby, I have a this thing what access to the internet through and back. Okay, back and forth. I can connect it to a RJ45 socket. This socket can be connected to a laptop or a computer. So thereby, this laptop or a computer have a internet access, right? So this is how, so this network what it does, it creates a links between multiple devices in a local office or in a house to the internet. This guy is doing a handshake, this guy is doing a handshake job, means it's a basically fetching and receiving the data from one source to multiple source or multiple source to one source, right? So you guys need to understand what is a modem, what is a router, and what is a network switch, right? I hope you got it. And what is the difference between a router and access point? See, router is the one which allots an IP address to the devices. Access point is only gives the data, right? For example, let's say I have a mobile phone. Okay, this mobile phone is connected to this access point, this Wi-Fi access point. Wi-Fi access point. This access point is connected to a switch. Okay, the switch is connected to the router come modem. So basically the allotting an IP address is the job of this router, okay, not this access point. So this is allotting. So let's say if you have a one more access point, right? So this device router will know how many mobiles are there. So I cannot give a same address. If this guy start giving an address, right? Let's say this guy gives a 1.1 address to this mobile and this guy gives 1.1, right? Then that kind of a become a conflict until they themselves are the router, right? So to avoid this, so there is a router, one master router, which is going to allot an IP address, right? So access point is only to access the data, right? Router is the one which is deciding what kind of a this thing. So I hope you know what is an RJ45 socket. RJ45 socket is a 8 port or 8 pin socket for connecting a cat 6 or a cat 5 or a cat 5 E cable so that the data gets transferred. What is the difference between cat 6, cat 5, cat 5E? It's the speed. Go do your research, right? Now there is something called patch panel. What is a patch panel, right? See what happens, let's assume this is a 24 port patch panel, okay? So now in a house we have lot of devices. We have cameras, we have video door phones, right? And we have IPRS, we have RJ45 socket, we have access point, all of that. So many devices are there, right? So but initially I won't know how am I gonna divide, how am I gonna create a virtual network between these devices, right? So what we do, we start getting that cables and pass them to a patch cable, okay, patch panel. So let's say in a house we have about 12 cameras, okay, 12 data points, 12 camera, 12 data points, okay, and 4 VDP, right, and 4 access point, right? So we have like so many devices, right, where the data exchange is enormous. So what we do, irrespective of where it is coming from, we just get it and patch it to the patch panel, right? And then we know this is connected to a camera, right? this is connected to camera, this is connected to an RJ45 socket. Okay, this is connected to IPRS, right? So then we have something called switches. Okay, switches. What we do, we use different switches. Okay, switch one. Okay, switch one is used for the cameras. Okay, so I can say, okay, this port is connected to camera, I'll bring that here. Okay, so there is one more port which is connected to camera, so I'll bring that here. So this can be put in one series and you can create a virtual network. Okay, so next what I have data points which are connected to a laptops or the PCs. So I will bring all the data points connected to computers onto this, and I'll create one more virtual network, and this thing. So that way what happens, right, the speed gets managed, your network switch does not get scrambled up. And one more thing is, see, these the devices are very expensive. Okay, very expensive, so plugging in, plugging out, plugging in, plugging out may create some kind of a problem with this. So all that unwanted plugging in, plugging out happens here, and these two are like connected by patch cable once, so that you avoid unwanted wear and tear on the switches which are very expensive, right? So you buy multiple patch panels, you buy multiple switches and connect them. Once it is like come to patch panel, you identify which patch panel is connected to what, and bring all the similar type of connections, like all the cameras to one switch, all the data points to one switch, all the access point to one switch, right? So you can have a bifurcation, right? So then after that, right, there are switches, there are managed switch, there are unmanaged switch, there are layer 2 and layer 3 switches. In this you can create an virtual network and say this data has to come here, this data has to go there. Since we have a houses which are like small, we pretty much end in 24-48 port, so we create everything. See, on a single series, let's say a single series like 192.168.0.1, so you can add up to 256 devices, and in a house we don't have more than 256 devices. So what we do, we make the one common network, all the cables will come to patch panel, and the patch panel will directly go to a network switch, and network switch will go to one router, which are under only one series. What happens if the speed is not enough? What happens if there are more than 256 devices? Then you create one more series. Now mind you guys, see, by default this 0 series cannot talk to one series until you create a virtual link. Okay, virtual link. So I don't know about what the virtual link is, you need to figure out what is virtual link, but for us we stick to one series. Okay, one of the series. So right now we are using 192.168.31.1, which is a default of me router. So it is better, I feel it is better that we keep everything in a 31 series, because sometimes these me routers are getting factory reset. Even if it factory resets, so since all the components are in the 31 series, we or our components still be working. So what happens if I put it in the 0 series? So this device resets, so this is the 31 series. Now our devices are on the 0 series, so 31 to 1 series will not talk to each other until you have created a virtual link. That problem we have faced in couple of sites, but again it depends on you, right? So we use the either, right, till now we were using either 0 series or the 1 series. Maybe new sites you can go with the 31 series. This is up to you. I hope you understood what is the networking is. Networking is nothing but a bringing the data together, right? Data together is, you get a internet, it comes to the switch. You have cameras, it comes to the switch. You have VDP, it comes to the switch. You have computer, it comes to the switch. You have a mobile, it goes to the access point to the switch to the router. So basically you are creating a local area network to interconnect all these devices in a house, and they talk to each other by having an IP address. Each and every device in a network should have an IP address, and they should be in the same series. Different series cannot talk to each other until you have created a virtual link, right? So we, since our number of devices is within 256, we put them, all of them in one series, and we just interlink all of them. I hope you got what is an networking is. You need to do little, I like what I've told is just for the house. You need to do little more research and understand how the networking works. Thank you guys.